So Simmers, as we all know, sad as it is, The Sims 4 without mods is quite difficult to play. There are simply too many annoying things that I refuse to let slide and not fix with mods before playing. In today's video, I would like to share with you my list of absolute must-have mods for The Sims 4. All of them bring a huge quality of life upgrade to your Sims gameplay, whether you are primarily a builder, primarily a caster, or primarily someone who does Sims gameplay. As always, all the download links to these mods are in the description box down below. They are all linked on my website on my mods page. And while you're down there checking that out, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you want. And of course, leave a comment with your absolute must-have mods. Now, with all of that being said, let's actually dive into the list. The first category are my 3 absolute must-have mods. These are like non-negotiables. If these mods are broken, I do not play The Sims. Simple as that. The first one is a rather obvious choice, and that is UI Cheats. UI Cheats extension lets you click and control almost anything in the game. Needs, money, relationships, career, weather, no cheat codes required. And it makes managing your gameplay insanely quick and intuitive. It is genuinely one of the best mods, especially because the game has so many bugs, and this mod allows you to actually fix those things by cheating directly in the UI. The second one is also a pretty obvious choice, and that is MC Command Center, also known as MCC. This is the powerhouse mod that gives you control over your entire save. Story progression, population control, pregnancies, autonomy, careers, everything can be customized so your save actually feels alive. It even adds a bunch of additional features like child support and inheritance when your Sims pass away. I feel like MC Command Center is a way to actually tweak your game so that it works somewhat like it should. It also allows you to just turn off annoying features like emotional deaths or the monster under the bed if you don't like them. And if you're interested in how to actually use all these features, I have a full in-depth tutorial for MCC. I will link that in the description box down below, but you can also check out my channel as I've made multiple videos on MC Command Center. But if you have any questions, also feel free to let me know in the comments down below, as I might make more videos on MC Command Center in the future. And then the last one in my absolute non-negotiable list is Better Build By. There is one primary reason for me personally that I use it, and that is because Better Build By actually allows me to hide my CC when I'm not using it without actually taking it out of my game. However, Better Build By transforms your entire build by mode with organized filters, expanded catalogs, hidden debug objects that are unlockable without actually entering any cheats, and easier searching. It also allows you to favorite objects so you can easily find them again, and even if you build a little, this mod is literally life-changing. And one of the very nice side effects or extra ups that you get from this mod, it actually hides the annoying shopping cart button in the game UI. While we're talking about mods, one thing that I unfortunately do not have a mod recommendation for is better family trees in the game. But worry not, outside of the game, there is still a brilliant option for you to keep track of your Sims' lives. Today's sponsor, The Sims Tree, might be everything that you're looking for. The Sims Tree is a family tree service designed specifically for The Sims. You can make fully customizable trees that fit with your style of gameplay. Next to that, you can log a lot of information about your Sims through the SIM card. This has all things Sims preloaded, meaning you don't even have to add traits, worlds, causes of death, etc. It is all there in a handy-dandy drop-down list. A brand new feature that they just released is being able to add links to your SIM card descriptions. When you write down your Sims' story and you want to link directly to another Sim within the same or another family tree, you can now do that with a quick link. This makes it much easier to not only represent your Sims' relations in the tree graphic, but also in the story that you're writing down for them. Does this sound like something you're interested in? Make sure to check out the Sims Tree with the link in my description box. And if you want to sign up for a premium account, don't forget to use my code because it will actually give you a nice little discount and it will support my content here on YouTube. And of course, a huge thank you to the Sims Tree for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back into the list of mods that can make your game better. Then the next category is the mods that add an enormous quality of life upgrade. These are mods that I genuinely don't want to play without. However, if they're broken, I can play the game in the meantime while waiting for an update, but I will miss them dearly. The first one is the Simology panel overhaul by Simmatically. And for anyone who has a lot of expansion packs, you'll know the pain of the Simology panel being extremely cluttered. At this point, it's basically impossible to find the right information in there. The Simology panel overhaul mod actually makes the Simology panel a readable and functional feature by actually reorganizing everything in new categories like traits, likes, lifestyles, and it is neatly broken down into separate sections. No more scrolling through the chaos. Finally. Another super big annoyance of mine is that we have so many interactions in The Sims at this point that it's almost impossible to remember where anything is. This leads to me very often using the same interactions over and over and over again. And if I need to find an interaction specifically for a career, I can rarely find it. However, the searchable pie menu is literally what it is. It allows you to type as soon as you have the pie menu open to actually search for certain things so that it's way easier to find them. Something that is actually kind of related to that is the next mod, and that is the Better Cheats menu. The Better Cheats menu completely changes the look of the cheats menu that you get when you shift click on either a sim or a mailbox, and it completely reorganizes the cheats with better icons and a better structure to them. It has saved me on multiple occasions when I was trying to find a cheat that I could not for the life of me find in the original menu, and here it was actually super quickly found. The next one is the Ultra Simulation Speed Up. This mod allows you to put the game on Super 3 speed at any time. It's perfect for when a silly cat is visiting your sim's house and you can actually not speed through the night, which is super annoying. And this actually lets you put it on 3 speed at any point in time, which also means you can speed through work days or anything when other sims are home. The next one is the slower infinite decay. I think every single simmer will agree with you that the default values for infinite decay, even after the sims tweak them, is still completely unrealistic. I know that in real life infants take a lot of care. However, with the Sims simulation lag and the fact that sims often get stuck in things, it very often results in infants not being taken care of at all and actually just doing absolutely miserable. So technically this mod is there to not necessarily solve the infant's needs decaying too fast, but actually making sure that they don't decay too fast for other sims for them not to be able to catch up because they are experiencing simulation lag. Unfortunately, I don't have a good mod that fixes the simulation lag, so this is the next best thing specifically when it comes to infants. And then lastly, this might be a somewhat controversial one because I know not everyone is a fan of reshade, but I personally don't play my game without reshade. I think it looks really grim and really dark, and it just doesn't give me that cozy feeling if I'm playing without any reshade presets. This could also just be because at this point I'm really used to my reshade. However, the one that I use is a Dove preset from Kindle Spice, and it is one that doesn't actually look like your game is having like an extreme filter over it. It just brightens all the colors and makes everything a little bit warmer, and therefore the whole game has a more cozy feeling to it. And then we have arrived at the final category, which is mods that I prefer to play with, but if they're temporarily out of order, I can play without them, but I will always go looking for them and make sure that I keep up with the updates. They're not like necessary, but again, they add a lot of quality of life to your gameplay. The first one is the refreshed main menu. I think we can all agree that the main menu has been looking a bit rough lately. This mod specifically has a refreshed version of the menu, and it doesn't just change the background, it actually allows you to hide all the ads, which I think at this point with The Sims incredibly aggressive ad strategy where they are literally changing your background into an ad for SpongeBob kits, I think this mod is almost becoming more necessary than just nice, because I don't think any simmer wants to be bombarded with ads simply by opening their game. The second mod in this category is any custom loading screen. Obviously, we have a lot of loading screens when you're playing The Sims 4, and I personally think if we need to have 5 million of them, they better look nice, and therefore I really like to have a loading screen mod because that just makes it a little less annoying. It doesn't solve all my annoyance, but it just makes it at least so that we have something pretty to look at while we're loading into our game. The third one is the multiple cast columns. I think this is a very well-known one. It is made by the same creator as UI Cheats, and it actually changes the default setting from having only 2 columns in cast to having either 3, 4, or 5. You can download whichever file you want to correspond with how many columns you would like. I personally think that having only 2 columns is probably optimized for a laptop screen, but at this point in time, so many people even have bigger laptop screens than when The Sims came out 10 years ago, and I just think it looks incredibly outdated to have such a small UI, while at this point we have so many cast items that it takes forever to scroll through it if you just have 2 columns. Specifically for people that also have CC in their game, I can highly recommend downloading this mod. Then the fourth one in this category is the SimCity loans. I personally think that it's actually nice that the whole money system in The Sims is relatively simple. I know there are huge complex mods out there that add an entire banking system and allow your Sims to have saving accounts and stuff like that, but I'm afraid if that were a feature actually in The Sims, it would completely take away from the gameplay and the ease of it and the storytelling. However, I do think it is completely unrealistic that if my Sim wants to buy a bigger house, house that we either have to wait to actually save all that money or to then cheat the money and move them in. SimCity Loans is an extremely simple mod that just lets your sim take out a loan and then pay it back in installments with interest. That's all it does. It temporarily gives your sim more money so that they can move into a bigger place, and I have absolutely adored this mod for storytelling because it allows my sims to actually take steps in their life just like normal people do by taking out a loan. Then the next one is another one that is perfect for making your gameplay more realistic, and that is the unlimited jobs mod. I am so frustrated with the fact that my sims can only have one job, especially because it is way more realistic for storytelling, especially if you like telling stories of sims that might be struggling, or maybe a single parent that needs to have multiple jobs to be able to take care of their children. I think it is super realistic for your sim to have multiple jobs, and in the end it is your job as a player to make sure that they don't have conflicting jobs, and if they do, that will have consequences for either of the job. And I don't understand why this is not just a feature in the game because it's so incredibly realistic. So this mod is one that I dearly miss when it's not working. And then the last one is a very personal preference one from my end, but I personally prefer to play on the Sims 4 camera because I really like to use the click and drag feature. That for me is by far the easiest way to get around in my households or when I'm building. However, I also really like the custom camera rotation from the Sims 3 camera, where it allows me to sometimes get more on an eye level with my sims to take pictures or screenshots or just to see how they're doing up close. The camera rotation mod actually adds that free rotation that you have to the Sims 4 camera, and also instead of having it on your scroll button, which I think is absolutely diabolical. Who decided that you needed a button on your scroll button? It's the most uncomfortable one to press and hold. It actually moves it to your right mouse button. So you can now click and drag with your left mouse button, and you can actually rotate your camera with your right. This has, for me personally, improved my game so much that I do not longer want to play without this mod. However, I also realize because it's such a personal preference one, not everyone might see this as a must-have mod. That concludes my list of mods that I personally do not play The Sims without. Again, let me know in the comments down below what your absolute must-haves are, and while you're down there, videos like these always take quite some time to make, so if you would like to help me out and toss the video a cheeky like, that would mean a lot. And if you're interested in seeing other videos that I make videos on not just The Sims, but also a bunch of other comfy games, so if you're looking for your next fun thing to play, make sure to check out my channel, and if you like what you see, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye everyone!